With Greystone, we have a great property management team and we want to make sure that it goes out to everyone. So here we have Adrian Castillo with Greystone Investment Group, and he is our property manager. And today we're going to go over some information specifically to the agents of how to upsell to your clients property management, which brings more income to you, and also some of the regulations, some of the things that we have, anything new with property management and things like that. So this is Adrian Castillo. And one thing, tell us a little about yourself again, because I know we've set up some meetings with the agents, but some of the agents on here are kind of new. So yeah, let's talk about yourself for a little bit.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, Nadia, for inviting me. So my name is Adrian Castillo. I am born in Dominican Republic. I was raised in New York City. Now I reside in Florida. My background is I started in architectural. Then I worked my way up into the construction field. And within that, I became a project manager. I got my degree in project management and construction. And then I kind of didn't have that passion for the industry anymore. So then I resided back to real estate. Within that, I have conducted and became an actual property manager. Now I am a certified property manager. Within all that, it was a very, how would I say, unique journey. As you all know, when you come into the real estate field, you kind of start out brand new. So I needed to have like a little bit of an edge to become better at what I did. So I always took the edge of using the management side of the real estate to kind of plant the seeds to all these owners. So that's why I kind of enhanced myself. And now I am an actual true property management, manage a big portfolio here for Greystone. And here I am. Any other questions that you may have, Nadia?
Well, yeah, you mentioned that we have a pretty good portfolio. How many accounts do you currently manage right now? And one thing after that is, what would you have our agents tell? What would they tell their clients about our property management? Like what are our average fees, things like that, so they can help upsell property management to their clients?
Definitely, definitely. Currently, Greystone has 150 properties under our portfolio. And I always say, use property management as another way to obtain a client. Think of it as a client that you go see for any given reason. It could be for, as a buyer buying a property. Now that buyer maybe it's an investment property. You can always offer them the opportunity to manage the property. Along that, as a seller, if you go to a listing and you get kind of stuck, always plant the seed because you're trying to figure him out. So, okay, I'm here to try to get the listing. You are not kind of working with me. How about if you're not going to list it, you're not going to sell it? How about renting it? And then they're going to ask, oh, what is that? And then you go on to spill, well, Greystone offers property management. And regarding the fees, usually the normal is 10% monthly. And then you also go into the process of talking about renewal fees. And that could be anywhere from 50 to that first month's rent. And also we charge a little bit for managing the work order flow. And that's an option that you could give the owner. But once you get into all the fees and all that, that's when you just call me and I'll take over, because sometimes it gets kind of confusing doing that.
Yeah, and a lot of times when it comes to different property management, they have different schemes. So, like, say there's some other property management companies out there that maybe they're doing it for 5%, but then there's tack on fees and everything else. So definitely, if you have a customer that's interested and you tell them 10%, that may be the one that throws them off, but we don't have those extra fees. So Adrian is really good at doing the sales part for property management. So once they get to that part, you can start heading them over to Adrian. And so what's the best way to send you a client? Do you do text, phone? What's that?
I'll do text, phone, WhatsApp, email. However you guys can reach me, that's the best way that you could get me on the phone. So if you get in a bind where you trying to win this client over, go ahead and call me. If I don't pick up, text me. So at least within that 5 minute range, I'll be able to call you. So yeah, that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, and most of us were trying to set up. You guys have groups so that you have access to the lending department, the property management department. I think everyone here has that so far. Maybe not Vanessa, but I need to get you guys all the access to that as well. So what are some of the keywords that you listen to when you're out there and you're at, like we were talking today, at the grocery store? You hear things. What do we listen to hear to upsell property management?
Okay. I always say you have to have that kind of ear if you're in the industry of selling. So something that always motivates myself when I'm out and about. If I hear any client talking about construction, I'm doing something to my property, whatever it may be, you always want to just ask the question, well, you do construction. Oh, what type of construction? And is it for your personal residence? Is it for an investment property, whatever it may be? Just look out for those little keywords, especially anything in construction, doing something in construction, roof, painting, whatever it may be. I use that as a little seed for myself to just start in compensation. My kids always dislike when I'm in the grocery store and somebody mentions anything about construction. They go, Dad, here we go. I say, guys, just wait for me. They know what to do already. They're used to it, and they just go on about their own way. I could probably be there a good half an hour, talk to the guy to death. I'm just trying to get business. So yeah, anything in construction will motivate me to talk to you no matter what.
Awesome. And so when it comes to property management, there's a lot of people that have large portfolios. They have, say, 10 portfolios, and they may manage it themselves. And you're talking to them and you're saying, oh, yeah, let's look at doing another investment property. Oh, yeah, I manage 7, so that's great. Well, what would be the reason, what would be the benefit of using a property management team versus having them use all their time managing it themselves?
I'm sorry, repeat that because I was looking at something when you were saying that.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry,
Go
it
ahead.
was my
Oh,
fault.
Jorge.
Sorry about that. Can you
So
repeat the question?
say you have a client, say one of our agents have a client, and they have, say, 10 properties that they manage themselves. Not the agent, but their client manages them themselves, and they say, "Oh, I've been doing it for a long time. I do this myself." What is the best benefit of having a property management team taking that burden off of the client? What would be your comeback if you have a client that says that?
I always say, how is that working for you? Because the majority of them, they feel the pressure at a certain point. As a one individual managing a portfolio of even 2 or 3, it is hard for them. They're not gonna mention it to you because they want to save that 10% or whatever it may be. But little do they know is that Greystone, the more properties they have, the lesser the percentage fee will be. So there's always a way where Greystone could work out a actual package for them that works for them. So always think of it. They have just always say, how is that working out for you? How is the weekends working out for you? How is, if they're married, how is your wife liking it? Because trust me, they are not going to have any time to do anything.
Yep. And a lot of times I usually use too, I usually say, well, yes, it is 10%, but are you at the current rate? So when you have a property management team, you guys are always seeing, right now we have it 1,000, but really the market should be 1,200, or can you get even higher from a tenant? That takes away that 10%. Now you're making more and you have time to play with kids. So that's usually something that I use as well. How about with property management? How do I know for myself with managing my own properties in the past, there's a corporate veil, so we don't really have to, not corporate veil, but veil for yourself to keep you away from having to chase the checks, from having you to have all those problems and the calls at midnight. What do you say to clients that talk about that?
I always say this, if a client is refusing to even try to explore a property management company, you always tell them it's going to come to a point where stuff is going to get out of hand and you are not going to have the resource that you need at a certain time. And usually any major problems happen to a property, usually at 3 o'clock and 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. And how are you going to get the resources? I mean, we have a call center 24/7, and the majority of the calls go to this call center, and the call center has already vendors ready to go. We would like to call on call. So if there's any situation, that particular call center will handle it. So that's where you kind of tell this particular client is, trust me, there's going to be a point in time where stuff is going to get out of control, but do you have the necessary resources to go ahead and help you get out of that particular predicament? Because trust me, not everybody's going to be able to, there's a water leak, there is a cesspool damage, there is a electrical issue, anything like that, it's going to be hard to get a person to actually respond within a good amount of time to resolve the issue.
And that's a good point, especially right now. I know we're struggling a little bit with getting contractors out there during COVID and right now after COVID. I know that we have preferred vendors that will go out there because they know us and they know they're going to get that project. But what have you seen in the market right now with contractors?
I see right now where due to this stimulus money from the pandemic, the labor force has reduced. I'm talking about 50, maybe even 70%. Where now some of the vendors, even the ones we use, they just overprice any particular bid because they are so backed up. If you're going to pay me that money, I'll take on your job. Mm-hmm. But us being the management that we are, and the vendors that we have, we could definitely bring more benefits to the owner, because now they're not going to get outbid or overpriced for certain items. So having an actual management company that understands the market is beneficial, because just apply the price of plywood. A sheet of plywood was, I think yesterday a contractor told me it was like $15. That same sheet now is $32.
Yeah.
So the average personnel that doesn't know that may say, I'm going to charge this particular owner now $45 or $50 for the sheet. There goes the making the estimate now at least twice as much. But some of these owners, they just want to get it done. We have the resources that we can actually kind of price out the items for you where it's more beneficial for your client.
Yeah, and save thousands of dollars on quotes, and not only that, time, because you have these vendors that you've been working with for years, where if a client goes out there and asks for a vendor or two, they're searching and searching for vendors. It could take forever. So I know with clients that I talk to that have properties, I always bring that up. We have that preferred vendor base, and it's preferred. How many agents on here have properties? If you could raise your hand with the Zoom, if you don't want to show your face, I'm raising your hand, but you can raise your hand on Zoom. I don't know how, actually. Sometimes it's hard to do that on here.
You go to the reaction button and you could place a hand there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys can raise your hand if you do have properties, and then what are some problems that you guys have had, and maybe we can talk about that as well. If you guys can think of some of the problems you've had in the past. Let's see. I know Jorge definitely has a property and some problems over his years.
That's probably why he was coming in here.
Yeah, he was trying to talk to you about some of the things that he's happened in the past. Luisa has properties as well. Yeah, if you want to jump in and tell us some of the things that you've had happen in the past, that would be amazing.
Michael has a brand new property now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Is it managed now, or is it still under rehab?
Right now, it's still in the process of rehab. Gotcha. Yeah. Hopefully, it's going to be coming to Greystone within the next couple of weeks.
Nice. And that's another thing to bring up too. that Greystone not only has the property management, but we have the ability to do those flips. So if you have people coming in and they're looking to buy and hold, we have that same vendor pool that we can work to get that flipped. Same as Michael, same as any of you, Samantha, Vanessa, Martha, everybody that should own a property right now and should be renting and building
Definitely.
that base
Definitely.
up. So
For sure. And I don't know if you want to let some of these agents know. I think the majority of them do know, but if they do not, let's go into the subject of the corporate rentals, if you like.
yes, absolutely. If you can, that'd be great.
Okay. So for the majority of you, some of you already know. If you do not, there is another aspect to the actual rental world, which is corporate rentals. Corporate rentals, think of it almost like a Airbnb, but not really, because the concentration is getting these property rented minimum 30 days. So the outcome of a corporate rental is that your income is tremendous. We have a kind of like a calculator that we've been using. It's been pretty good, depending on the location of the property and where it's at and what it has to offer based on the community. We usually price out per room, low end 850 to high end 1100. So if you have a property that's in a great neighborhood, um, good location, entertainment, and so forth, you could probably be in the higher end or even more. So the base price of the bedrooms would be just based on the location. If you have amenities, you can add on more. You have pools, racquetball club, a gymnasium, you name it, that will drive up the price. We have several owners that have corporate rentals, and some of them are just banking on these particular properties. If you would like, let me see if I can just show you, because a lot of people would say the pudding, what's the same? Show me the money. So I'm gonna show you the money right now.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah, there is um one in particular right now that is going to be checking in into one of our owners' property that's located in Ybor. I'll just put it right here in the face.
Oh yeah. 6,500 for only 62 nights. So
That's correct.
yeah, so over 3,000 a month. And this property, what was it getting for long term? Was it 1,000?
If we did regular long-term rental, that one will probably get, if it's 1250, will be a lot.
Yeah.
And this one is making triple that on a monthly base. So the corporate rental world is definitely a unique, how would I say, a unique process too, because the property, we as Greystone and my team, we vet the property out to make sure that the property is suited for corporate rentals, because not every property will meet that category. What I mean by that is, it's just, you don't want to kind of allow your client to, yeah, go ahead, do corporate rental, it's all good. Now, reminder that they're going to have to spend money because they're going to have to furnish the entire property. And that's a lot of expense up front. And for them to make it back, as you know, they want to get it rented right away. Some corporate rentals could take 30 days, 40 days, maybe 60 days before it could rent. Is your client able to withstand not making any money for that duration of time? I had a couple of them that I just vetted out, and I told them this is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they accepted, they took the opportunity, and they're making money. But you have some that took the opportunity and didn't do so good. But I always tell them, you gotta give the market an opportunity to kind of adjust to the corporate rental type of marketing, because it's very different from any other type of marketing. So if you have a client and you are selling corporate rentals, let me speak to them, because then I could kind of vet the property, let them know if this will be a good fit. And if they are willing to go ahead and do it, this is what the outcomes are. Because the payment process is also different than any other. because we have to deal with the third parties of Airbnb, VRBO, the corporate rental website, and that's a third party that captures the money. Therefore, when they capture the money, they release it to Greystone, then we release it to the owner. So now you got a three-way cycle just to pay your clients, and that duration could prolong a little bit. And so if they see a guest coming in, oh, I'm going to get paid. No, it doesn't take that. It doesn't happen that fast. So they have to be aware. That's why I said, if you sell that corporate rental dialogue, just let me know, because I have to walk them through that process.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way it is. And you kind of look at it like a stock. You can have a conservative stock that's your long-term tenants, or you can have an aggressive stock where you have to be ready if it's going to be vacant for a month. You have to hold it off until you get the next tenant, but your gain is double, triple as much.
That's correct. Yes.
Yep.
The outcome is unbelievable if it's done correctly. Your client would be satisfied. But it's just something like anything else. When they start something new, it takes a while to get that wheel moving. But once it starts moving, they'll be thanking you. Mm-hmm. So that would be another option that you guys could present as a the property management service as well.
Yeah, and I have Jessica on the line here too, and she is starting to specialize in selling these corporate rentals. So selling people that are clients that are looking for properties specifically for Airbnb. You would not believe how many are out there. I think Jessica, if you're able to talk, I think she has at least 10 buyers, maybe I'm being aggressive, maybe like 7 buyers are looking for corporate housing properties. And she's constantly showing them. And right now the market's tough, but they're looking for that structure. So you're going to probably run into people like this, because kind of a hot topic. Airbnb is a lot of money. And as an investment property, why not try to double or triple it? But what I find out too is it's not so much having them being able to hold financially for a month. It's also the mindset of the owner. The owner has to have the mindset that they're not going to have this check every month. It's kind of like W-2 employee versus a commission, almost. The mindset that, I'm not going to have it this month, but I'm going to have triple next month. And so it does take a little bit of vetting, like you're saying, making sure that we're bringing in those right clients. So.
Yeah. That is very key. And regarding Jessica, me and her have been back and forth. Every time she has a client that's interested, we kind of do a dialogue of the property condition, what it offers, where's it located, and I kind of give her an idea of the actual range that this particular client can price the property at. So it's been very interesting speaking to Jessica back and forth, just to getting those corporate rentals, because they are very unique, and a unique process in general.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you start working on those, especially if you're an agent and you're wanting to have that extra income, when you buying the property, the next step is to furnish it. So what do you normally tell them for furnishing? How much would you expect to furnish a property? Do you have that offhand?
I would say I keep it kind of basic. I tell them you don't need that much. I would say, in general, you are allowed to have 2 heartbeats per room. But if you have a big room, you could probably put 4. So that would be 2 adults per room. So if you could fit, 2 queens in 1 room to take full advantage, that is great. I have a lot of clients that have done also the bunk bed situation, and that has worked out as well. So you can fit as many people as you can in a particular property. So I would say in average, I have seen probably anywhere from, I want to say 4,000 to maybe 6,000. Now, of course, there's always a way to do it a little bit more economically better. And it's kind of, don't go out shopping in Macy's Furniture or, what's the Rooms to Go, because you could go to Marketplace and get your general couch and stuff like that. It doesn't have to have, pretty fancy stuff. Of course, I always recommend, if you don't have the bedding, get that get that somewhat new because you don't want to get that used. But everything else you could definitely get at your local, Salvation Army. I've seen it. Also, Goodwill may have some. So just shop around because you'd be surprised of what you can find. There's another one too. A friend of mine just told me this weekend. Habitat for Humanity.
Oh yeah, I love
They
that.
have some good stuff. They bought believe me, KitchenAid flat top stove,
Mm-hmm.
$125.
Oh yeah, you can
I
get
was like, what?
yeah.
So if your client is savvy, they could find what they need. Of course, it's going to take longer because they're shopping around, but all we could do is guide them as agents. I mean, they're going to do whatever they want. I have one client that she just went crazy. I mean, it looked better when she put it for rental, it's like a corporate rental, than when she lived in it. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's kind of too much. Yeah. So
Because
all
that's the other part of it too, is that's what I was kind of getting at too, is that if you do it too much, your return on investment is a lot lower. So now you're trying to catch up to, your $20,000 worth of furniture that after the first rental it's used.
that's
So definitely, as you go through, and we do have a preferred vendor for doing corporate rentals as well. Big and Coffenauer, one of our corporate rentals owners, he actually had one of our preferred vendors go and furnish the whole property. So your customer does not have to try to figure it out or spend a lot of money. They came in pretty good under budget. So she was getting stuff off of discount places as well. So that's definitely an option
yeah,
using the resources at hand.
that's the ideal way because like Nadia was saying, your return on investment, you want your clients to get it as quickly as possible. And that's another thing that when I vet the property, I also kind of consult with the owners to let them know, hey, if you're already spending $5,000 and the property owner can get it rented out for 3,000, you're not going to see your profit probably 2 months out if it rents consistent for 2 months. So all that strategy, that's something that we Greystone does and implements to the owner so they are aware, hey, the pros and cons of actually doing corporate rentals.
Yeah. Yep. And it says here, Leo was this writing in as well. I have used furniture consignment for used consignment furniture, so he has the ability to help with it as well. So, yeah, if you guys have especially anything like that, let us know because maybe we have one of our clients that are looking to furnish. We could sell it. I know Jeff Axon sold 2 air conditioners to a client that was doing some. So definitely let us know. It says the missing piece in South Tampa, so it must be the consignment store that he's talking about. So
Yeah,
it's called the missing piece, South Tampa. That's cool.
I heard of that one. Yep. And there's another one right next to Macy's Furniture, Ryan Gandy. I forgot what that one is called, but that one is a big consignment store. They always got good stuff there.
Yeah, and I'm actually doing that on one of my properties as well. I'm not sure if Michael will be on his, but I'm definitely one that likes to gamble, so I'm wanting to do the short-term rentals to corporate rentals. So once it's furnished and once it's going, I'm excited to get it in property management. So very
We
cool.
good for you.
So one thing that's really important to the agents, I would say overly important, is okay, well, what do I get by referring people to property management? Okay.
I always say this: if you refer a particular client as kind of your caretaker, because I am going to be taking care of your client for X amount of months, say minimum, let's say a year. But guess what? Within that 1 year, who's going to be the first one that's going to get a notice if he wants to sell? He's going to call me or he's going to call you, but he's going to be in-house and it's going to be a client that in the future is going to become now a client where now you're going to have a home to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So always think of it like that. It's going to be where the PM team is helping you contain this client for however amount of period it is. When it's time to sell, definitely we put notes as to who this client was, and we'll pass it on to that particular agent to list that property. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, and I know that that same thing happened to John Sullivan just recently, where he was in PM. It was his client, went to sell the property, and boom, now it's his again. So, and also people that have clients that have properties that they're renting usually start with one and then grow into a portfolio. So, and then at that point, what is the best thing that I like about Graystone's property management is that we also do asset management. So we're viewing how the properties are going and is it actually being under market? Can we get it higher or can we sell it? So Adrian's one of the best things that you have to offer the agents is that you're constantly looking at it to see if it is a good one to sell and then passing it back to that agent. Is that right?
Correct, correct. And Nadia brought a good point. We are starting to develop now the asset management side of it, where as an asset manager, you kind of looking at the owner's portfolio and letting him know what would be currently now the best use of that particular property. So by doing so, he feels that he's being catered to. It's almost like a concierge top-notch service where, oh, wow, I was not aware of that. I was thinking about renting it again. But then you tell them, well, if you do rent it, now that the tenant has left, this is what you're facing just to rehab it, to re-rent it again. And if you were now to just rehab it to sell it, this is what you're looking at the selling price. So of course, for each investor, the bottom line is how much profit am I going to make? Is it beneficial for me to sell it now? Or is it beneficial for me to actually keep renting it? So that's what the PM department is now transitioning to offer. Just today, I visited 3 properties, just doing that, determining what will be the best use and if it's even worth for this particular client to keep that property as a rental. And like I said, we will do that because myself, Nadia, we got others in the team that we assess it and we give the client kind of like a report as to what would be the best use for that property. And from there on, the client will decide what to do. And guess what? If they decide to sell, if you were that particular agent that bring that client along, they're going to pass it along to you.
Yeah, and we have Najib on here as well, which is the other piece of that asset management puzzle because he's also the one that's going out there and after we go out, see if it's going to be a good buy or sell, Najib goes out there and he's giving us bids and telling us how much it's going to cost. And so sometimes it costs so much to have it come to compliance so that it can rent. Or in this market, let's just sell the thing. Our inventory is so low and they're just easy clients because a lot of times we have buyer or sellers they can't sell because they can't buy. Well, these people can sell right now because they're not having to face having to move. They're already going. So I don't know if Najib is available too, but he is on this call, and he is one of our other parts to the asset management. So we're going to be having another interview with Najib here shortly, and he'll be going through how he goes through this process. And then once we do this, once we get these properties, and how many properties do we have like in asset management? I want to say close to about 10, under 10, right?
Oh yeah, easy,
Around 10?
under 10. And that's one of the things is on a monthly base, we have properties that constantly get renewals. And that's when either the tenant says, I don't want to renew no more, the landlord doesn't want to renew. That's where Greystone comes in and evaluates the property and gives the report to the client to determine what is the best use for that particular property.
Yep. And then if that was one of your clients and you pass that client to the PM, we do the asset management, and guess who that referral goes back to? So it goes back to, say, Marta, she gave us that client to PM. Now we do asset management, we're ready to sell. That goes back to her. So that is it's an instant way of keeping like little seeds that you're just growing into flowers that'll be your leads. And so that's your best way to farm is to give those clients to PM, let them keep working them, and then they send them back to you. Yeah, I would say there's been quite a bit of clients we've passed back
Yeah,
And on the other hand, we have also a lot of clients that came to us from the very beginning that didn't have, anybody attached to any agent attached to it. So when we're doing this asset management, I'm passing these down to you guys as well. So
exactly. And I know you say that too, that you also got to think of the PM department that could do two things for you. If you bring in a board to the PM department, that client is going to be catered to. So in the future, that property is going to come back to you. Another aspect of it, if the PM department does an excellent job, which we are doing, that particular client, if he wants to buy, because I'm also a selling agent too, I will go ahead and get him ready, gear him up. You want to buy? Okay, who was that selling agent that helped you out at the beginning? Here it is. And I will call that agent. Hey, this individual is interested in buying. So now you could go help him buy, because at the same time, I want to cater to this owner because I want him to grow his portfolio. Because a lot of these clients that go into the investment world, they are very green. Once they understand it, they see the advantage of becoming landlords. They understand that the quickest way to build wealth is also in real estate. So they will keep buying and keep buying and keep buying and keep buying. So imagine one client with one property, within 5 years, he buys five more, because we have also our great GA department that sells property. So now that client developed a portfolio of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When he wants to sell them, guess what? Those are all going to be going back to that particular agent. So it's all, we like to call it a big wheel now in Greystone. It all comes back to the actual person that started it.
yeah, yeah, and that's the best way to describe it, is to keep that going. And right now we're definitely in the seller's market, so of course the investors are looking to sell what the underperforming portfolio. But once this changes, now you have all these investors that sold. You're going to have all these investors that are buying. And so once the market changes, it's the best of both worlds, because right now we can sell anything and they're selling. But once the market shifts, we can buy anything and they're buying. So it's the best way to have the clients. So if you bring them to us to the PM department, Greystone, then we can form them and hold them in there for you.
That's right.
So what do you like most about property management, Adrian? I'll throw this out at you.
Put me under the gun now.
Yep.
I would say it's just dealing with people. I mean, you have to have that niche where you could have angry owners, angry tenants, and you have to learn how to just absorb that and be like, okay, admit my fault, whatever I did, and just roll with it. I mean, everybody's in sales, it's almost the same thing. You just gotta accept the no's, the no's. But with me, the no's and the complaints and everything that comes with the complaint, and you just gotta keep moving forward. So to me, it's just about making those that are non-believers in the property management world or in the investment world, making them believe, and they'll be like, oh, yeah. I have one client that I've been managing, well, several clients I've been managing now going on 8 years. And they just call me for anything out of the blue. And some of them I haven't even met in person. It's just via email and phone calls. So I have a lot of clients in California, Arizona, Texas, New York. So that's the passion I get, because they put basically the whole life savings into a property, and they expect that property to perform. So to me, that is where I get the joy out of it, because they look at me like, wow, I remember when I first started here, look where I'm at now, look where I'm going. That's the best joy for me, for sure.
That's awesome. And you brought up a good point for the agents. I know for myself, the one thing that I like the most, and just like you said, they're calling you for anything under the sun, and you have the answers. If they need somebody, you know who that is, because you have all the vendors, you have all these people in the background. And the one thing that's best about what we have here at Greystone is that we have the toolbox.
Yep.
So for myself, the one thing that I really love is being the one that can answer and refer anybody to anybody. So if somebody needs a roofer, if somebody needs a plumber, do that. Refer them to that preferred vendor, because you're going to be in their mind that you know everything. So if you know everyone, they're going to buy from you because you're the one that's connected. You know where everything is. And if somebody's looking for property management, I got the right guy for you. And then that's going to make you a more solid person, a solid agent in the community.
Oh yeah. Yep. I agree.
So I don't want to go too much longer. I was trying to get this 45 minutes. It's usually where we're sitting. Does anybody have any questions on property management? I know you guys are all just dying, trying to think of, you have so many questions about property management here. I know Jorge did. He had a lot of questions he was going to ask. Yeah, everybody's I think you really told them everything they needed to know.
Did I? Wow, I hardly get to do that.
But if you guys have any questions, so you have Adrian's WhatsApp and email and phone number. We also have our directory, so please use that if you guys have any questions. If you have any questions like your clients are asking, percentages, or is this a good area, or is this call Adrian, and most of the time you could pass the client right over to them and you don't have to worry about losing that customer.
Yeah.
He's going to make sure that goes right back to you.
Definitely. Oh, and one last thing I just remember. Besides, your regular rentals, your corporate rentals, there's also the Section 8 aspect of it. Now, Section 8 tenants are bad tenants. I've been doing Section 8 for a long time. Trust me, those that do not know it, and once they look at it and the benefits of having the Section 8 tenant, because that is automatic funding coming in with no problem. And these tenants, you kind of in control as to what they can and cannot do, because if they misbehave or mistreat the properties in any way, they could get banned from that particular program. And right now in the United States, that Section 8 program, you are looking at a waiting list, I heard, up to 6 to 8 years. So
Wow.
whoever's in that program, they want to treasure it. And if you get a tenant and you put them in your property and you see something that is wrong, that they are doing it, basically they're not taking care of the property, you can report them back to the counselor, and then they kind of have like a strike rule. If they get too many strikes, they get banned from the program. Just want to give you a food for thought for that one.
Well, and also that was a savior to most of our clients during COVID.
Oh, perfect. That is correct. I like that one. I'm going to run longer than 45, but it's so true. Out of the 150 properties, we only had maybe 10, 15, maybe 20% properties in Section 8. Guess who was actually making money with no problem? And they were just making the funds were still coming in, no problem. While everybody else was kind of struggling, paying late, going behind 2 months. And some of them took advantage of the moratorium, and they still not paying.
Yeah.
So Section 8 is beneficial if it's done right.
Yeah, and I know that was real. I was excited to be part of this team back when COVID first started, that we started thinking out of the box and going, okay, let's switch everybody into Section 8 that we can, because that's who's going to be getting paid. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much for this time, Adrian. And you guys have his contact information. Ask him anything you want to about property management. If you have a client just with any questions, ask him, and don't be afraid to pass him anybody, because that is going to go. And also we have awards now for who passes the most and who's getting the most to property management or the acquisitions team, to the different departments. So we'll be coming out with that at the next agent meeting as well. So we definitely want to get you those awards on who is passing the most referrals. So thank you guys, and I know it's getting close to 6, so we'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 for the active campaign training, because that's how Adrian and I and the team, that's how we track whose client that is. So we want to make sure that you know how it's used, so you know that it's being used correctly and that you're tagged on your leads. So please make sure you're there tomorrow at 5 as well on Zoom, right? Same place, same location. And thank you, Adrian.
No
And we'll
problem.
talk to you guys soon. Have a nice night.
Until the next one. Bye-bye, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Night.